All right. We'll be recording the session, and the session recording will be available to all of you. It will be shared post the session. Okay, so we have with us today Rituparna Debroy, the lead consultant programs at Atma. She comes with 20 years of cross-sector experience across corporate and development ecosystems. She has expertise in strategic planning, stakeholder management, operational excellence, and impact assessment. And previously, she's also held leadership roles at organizations such as Times Group and Buddy for Study India Foundation. Our second speaker today is Kanika Arora. She's a consultant at Atma. She leads the volunteering program at Atma and collaborates with nonprofits and skilled volunteers to create impactful volunteering experiences. She has experience over across social impact, public policy, urban planning, and she has worked with nonprofits, government bodies, corporate partners on initiatives that are focused on civic engagement, capacity building, and social impact. And before I hand over to our two speakers today, I just want to remind the room that we will have a dedicated Q&A space towards the end of the session. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them on the chat box. We will get to them as and when. एंड सेकेंडली अगर किसी को ट्रांसलेशन की ज़रूरत है तो प्लीज़ आप चैट बॉक्स पे लिख दीजिए. हम कोशिश करेंगे कि चैट बॉक्स पे हम आपको ट्रांसलेशन दे दें. With that, I will hand over now to Rituparna and Kanika to take us into the session.
Yeah, thank you, Veda. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. Let me share my screen. Just a moment. Just a moment. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, we can see it, Ritu.
Okay, so let's begin. So we have titled this session as Optimizing the Volunteer Experience. So the word optimizing is intentional. So most of us here already we work with volunteers. So today's session is more about sharpening, what works and filling in the gaps. So we'll look at strategies, we'll hear from peers, and we'll show you some templates which are ready to use. Before we begin, let's have a quick warm-up activity. So we would like all of you to complete this sentence. The most rewarding part of working with volunteers is. You can write in chat, or if you want to answer, you can raise your hand and also answer. The most rewarding part of working with volunteers is.
I'll just start. तो जब आप लोग वॉलंटियर्स के साथ काम करते हैं तो उसका सबसे संतोषजनक चीज आपके लिए क्या है, ये आप चैट में लिख सकते हैं या अनम्यूट करके इसका रिस्पॉन्स दे सकते हैं.
Appreciation, nice. Would love to see more responses. Satisfaction, their dedication. Good. Few more responses, please. Yeah, enthusiastic approach is rewarding when volunteers speak to themselves and their communities. Great. Few more. if you'd like to share the most rewarding part of working with volunteers. Okay, great. So before we begin, let's set some ground rules. One is, like which Beda said, like हम लोग इंग्लिश हिंदी दोनों में will take the session. कहीं पे भी आपको लगे that you want something to be repeated, you can write in chat. We'll take it up again. एंड दिस इज एन इंटरैक्टिव सेशन. हम चाहेंगे कि जितना हो सके आप इंटरैक्ट कीजिए. आप रेज हैंड कर सकते हैं एंड अनम्यूट करके अपने आप को यू कैन स्पीक. देर आर नो राइट और रॉन्ग आंसर्स. कोई आंसर्स गलत नहीं है, कोई सही नहीं है. दिस इज बेसिकली अ डिस्कशन. सो ऑल ऑफ अस वी कैन स्पीक, वी कैन शेयर आवर थॉट्स. एंड इन बिटवीन बीच बीच में हम पॉज करेंगे, रिफ्लेक्ट करेंगे. And what I would suggest is you can keep a notebook handy so that you can note down your points or any thoughts which come to your mind. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A where we'll take up your questions or thoughts. In between also, if you want anything, you can write in chat. If possible, take it up there, or we'll take it up later. Okay. So to begin with, we want to know, हम जानना चाहते हैं, why does your organization engage volunteers? हम ये जानना चाहते हैं ही कि आपके संगठन, आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वॉलंटियर को क्यों जोड़ना चाहता है, क्यों जोड़ता है. इनफैक्ट you can write in chat. Okay, after that we had some of that previous one. Okay, nice seeing them grow in confidence skills to strengthen community. Okay, great. Very nice answer. To advocate for us. Absolutely. Increase our capacity to reach more individuals, families, and communities. To direct engage with community and address issues. Support the organization activity. Very appropriate answers. To fill gaps. To spread social awareness. Wow, lovely. Nice to hear this answer. Organization ambassadors to the community. Great. We'll be discussing all this today. I really love the interaction. Great. Nice. So let's now look at this data. So this data is from the UDARTA report. So out of 212 respondents, 66%, majority of them stated that the top reason why the NGOs engage with volunteers is to increase the visibility, not just for doing tasks. So this is a very big mindset shift. बहुत बड़ा एक mindset shift है. Then next 59% said building a community of like-minded people. Then able to get work done at no cost. This is very honest and practical opinion. Then we have increases civic engagement in a cause area. So this is some of the responses which, as per the UDARTA report, when it was prepared, we had done this survey, and this is the data out of that report. So we can see that this aligns with what you all responded in the chat when we asked that questions. Now, coming to the agenda, what we'll be covering today, we will be starting with a discussion on volunteer management challenges, and we'll hear our peer insights. हम ये शुरुआत करेंगे कुछ चैलेंजेस के साथ डिस्कशन करके, वॉलंटियर मैनेजमेंट में क्या चैलेंजेस आते हैं, और हम आपसे सुनना चाहेंगे कि आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा, आपने कोई तरीका अपनाया जिसके थ्रू यू कुड एड्रेस दैट प्रॉब्लम. Then we'll introduce the gardening approach to volunteer management. So basically, this is a way of thinking volunteers relationally and not just operationally. Then we will discuss the 3 stages of volunteer journey and the toolkits from the UDARTA Everyday Giving Fill Guide. And we'll show you a hands-on demo of 2 toolkits. And at the end, we'll have reflection sessions and Q&A. In between also, we'll pause and we'll have some reflections so that together we can build on it. Any thoughts, anything you want to ask till now? Anything coming to your mind, you can write in chat. We'll take it up. Okay. So let's start with the positive part. So we would like to know, हम जानना चाहेंगे, what has worked well in your experience with volunteers? आपके संगठन में जो आपके वॉलंटियर्स आपके साथ काम किए, आपके कॉज में जुड़े हैं, तो आपका व्हाट वाज आपका एक्सपीरियंस उनके साथ जो था, उसमें व्हाट वर्कड वेल? इफ यू कैन शेयर इन चैट, इट वुड बी ग्रेट. What has worked well in your experience with volunteers? Their capacity building, okay. The experience is good. We have taken a few volunteers for social media creatives. Okay. Any other? Good coordination, the expertise, correct. Yes, the expertise really helps. They can support us in many ways, no, through their skills, their time. Any others? Sharing success stories and demonstrating the impact of their contributions, the knowledge and skill development. Absolutely. Volunteers taken a few civic actions in groups and supported for maternal child health intervention outcomes. Okay, nice to hear that, Sonali. Word of mouth, how through one volunteers, many others come to know about us and volunteer. That's true. Recognizing their efforts. Absolutely. So we had seen what has worked well in our experience with working with the volunteers. Now let's see the other side, the flip side. That is, what makes volunteer engagement difficult? So volunteer, जैसे हम volunteers के जुड़ते हैं, so उसमें what is that जो इसको मुश्किल बनाता है, difficult बनाता है, हमारे लिए कठिन होता है? Attendance, okay. Clear communication, motive, and encouragement of volunteers. Time and availability constraint, absolutely. Any others? These are very valid points. Their engagement interest get lesser. True, we'll address this. Maintaining discipline. Limited availability of volunteers due to work, education, or family commitments. Absolutely. Community engagement in their livelihood activities. Lots of limitations, okay. Fair enough. So we'll discuss all of these challenges. Needs passion to work according to their availability. True. Their literacy level, time, continuous motivation required, especially in non-monetary benefits. Absolutely. So now, let's see what if this volunteer management is more about relationships than coordination? Like more volunteer management systems are built around coordination, like spreadsheets, schedules, then the task list. अधिकतर आप देखे होंगे वॉलंटियर मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम्स आधारित होते हैं, जैसे स्प्रेडशीट्स बनाना, स्केड्यूल करना, देन scheduling the task, creating the task list, etc. But what if the real, the driver of retention and commitment is the relationship? So that's the insight behind our next framework, that is the gardening approach, which will just show you. So we have built the field guides based on this gardening metaphor. So just like a garden, volunteers also need the right conditions to thrive. And these conditions, they do not happen by accident. So just in case, like in case of gardening, what happens? The first steps हम क्या करते हैं? What do? We prepare the soil. हम मिट्टी को तैयार करते हैं. So this is your structure, your clear roles, defined responsibilities, and simple systems. Then what we do, uske baad we water the seeds. So this is your regular ongoing communication and support which you provide to the volunteers. So इस तरह से आप जुड़े रहते हैं volunteers के साथ. Then what you do, जैसे when the plant grows, you provide nourishment. So that is how you do that, by recognizing, by building the skill building and feedback. So this is what sustains, long-term engagement. Finally, what happens? We reap the harvest. We harvest the fruits. So when we invest in relationship, our volunteers, they grow into ambassadors who bring in others. जब हम रिलेशनशिप पे इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो हमारे वॉलंटियर्स धीरे धीरे वो हमारे एम्बेसडर्स बन जाते हैं, जो अपने साथ और लोगों को लेके आते हैं. So this is how you see, this is the entire journey is like the way we go about gardening. Now, how to create a volunteer experience that people want to be part of? So based on this, we had prepared the UDARTA field guides. So UDARTA field guides have been prepared based on the UDARTA report. So there are two field guides. One is on fundraising and the other one is on volunteer engagement. So total in both the field guides, we have 13 modular toolkits, which we have a live website. We'll show you that. We'll give you a demo of their website where these toolkits are uploaded. This can be used by organizations of all sizes and stages. And you can pick up in whichever stage you are. Accordingly, you can pick up the toolkit and use it. These are ready to use, very practical toolkits. Okay, and these are freely accessible. Just a moment. I hope my screen is visible. There was just, okay, fine. Okay, so the goal is basically moving from one-time everyday givers to sustain predictable support. So that was the goal behind creating the UDARTA field guides. So this is a demo, just a screenshot of the website. We'll give you a demo and we'll show you how you can download the toolkits. But this is just a glimpse of that website. So this field guides, this was a collaborative effort by giving together Foundation, Rohini Nilakani, Philanthropist, Atma, Alter, and Giving Tuesday Data Commons. So it was a co-created thing. So now let's delve into the details. With this, I'll hand it over to my colleague Kanika. We'll take it ahead from here.
Thank you so much, Ritu. I think before we start, I am just wanting to share that the things that you have mentioned about engaging with volunteers and the kind of benefits it has At the same time, the challenges you're feeling are very, very real. And this field guide specifically is basically aligning on it. And how can we so sure that it is in alignment? Because these field guides are based on UDARTA report, like Ritu mentioned, and UDARTA report was that research was done by taking responses of 300 plus NGOs across the country, and some of us were also a part of it. So these are our responses which inform the study and which ultimately are informing the field guides, which makes us so sure that the things that are going to come up, the templates that we have created under it, are going to be of very, very use to you. So my request to you going onwards is, please continue to be as interactive as you are, and we are going to cover some of the things that you have already pointed out. And because of limited time constraints, there will be something we might not be able to cover, but I'll also give you a hack on how to go about it so that the entire volunteer journey for you is sorted. So I think let's begin with understanding, when a volunteer comes into our organization, what is the journey looks like. And I will definitely repeat this in Hindi. Thank you, Mahavir, for saying that. तो बेसिकली हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो भी हम साथ में वॉलंटियर्स को एंगेज करते हैं, हम उनकी की पूरी जर्नी का ख्याल रख पाए, उनका पूरा एक्सपीरियंस का ख्याल रख पाए. फर्स्ट पॉइंट जहां पे वो हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को जुड़ते हैं, हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से जुड़ते हैं, से लेकर जब तक वो हमारे साथ हैं, और उसके बाद भी जब वो हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के एक एम्बेसडर बन जाते हैं, इस पूरी जर्नी को हम कैसे प्लान करें उनको बेस्ट एक्सपीरियंस देने के लिए, जिससे कि साइमल्टेनियसली वो भी अपना बेस्ट कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाए. तो वॉलंटियर जर्नी को हम 3 स्टेज में कर सकते हैं. सबसे पहले अगर हम गार्डनिंग अप्रोच के साथ चलते हैं, तो सबसे पहली चीज आती है कि हमारे पास एक सीड है जो इसको हमें नर्चर करना है. तो ये सीड का फर्स्ट स्टेप ये होगा कि हमें क्लैरिटी चाहिए कि हमारा वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम क्या है. उसके बाद ये होगा कि हम वॉलंटियर्स को उसमें कैसे लेकर आते हैं, उनको कैसे हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं, राइट. उसका सेकंड स्टेज है कि हम कैसे एक बिलोंगिंगनेस उनके लिए क्रिएट करते हैं, जिसमें कि हम उनके काम को कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज कर पा रहे हैं और हम उनके काम को कैसे मैनेज कर पा रहे हैं. और अल्टीमेटली अब हमने जो हमारी बिलोंगिंगनेस उनके साथ बनी है, अब हम इस रिलेशनशिप को एक स्टेप आगे कैसे लेके जाएं, इसे हार्वेस्ट कैसे करें, तो कैसे हमारे वॉलंटियर्स हमारे बेस्ट रेफरीज बन सकते हैं. तो ये 5 टूल किट्स हैं, और जो आप बुलेट पॉइंट्स देख रहे हैं वो अलग अलग टेम्पलेट्स हैं जो आप सबके लिए अवेलेबल है. अभी मैं एक क्विक चीज फिर से इसको इंग्लिश में कर देती हूँ फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ एवरीबडी. सो the comprehensive volunteer journey has 3 stages, and we are taking forward the gardening metaphor. First, what we are trying to do is nurture the seed by setting up and being very clear about what is the ask. Why does our organization need volunteers, and how are we going to work with them? The second is, how do we ensure that volunteers, when we onboard them to our organization, are so clear that they feel ready to contribute. The second stage is, now they are in the organization, how do we cultivate a belongingness? So how do we recognize their work? How do we manage and track the kind of contributions they are making for the organization? And finally, to the next stage, which is this next step, when volunteers are contributing, how do we level them up, and how do we ensure that they become ambassadors or the best referees for our organization? So it was a difficult thing for us to decide what to cover in 1.5 hours. So remember, we had asked you this question in the form, and that what is something that you would like to strengthen? And based on your responses, what we will do today in this session is cover the first 2 aspects. So first, we will figure out on how to create a structured volunteer program. And in the second part, we will see that how do we recognize and ensure that our volunteers stay motivated to do so. Right. Actually, there is a little error here from my end. We are going to cover the structured volunteering program, and second is turning volunteers into long-term ambassadors. This is a typo from my end. Please excuse this. And with this, there is going to be a bonus in between, so stay tuned for that. तो जैसे कि आपने रिस्पॉन्स दिया था और सबसे ज्यादा लोग ये चाहते हैं कि हम एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड वॉलंटियरिंग प्रोग्राम पर आए, तो हम उस चीज से चालू करते हैं. सो हाउ डू वी बिल्ड अ वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम दैट कैन स्केल, राइट? क्योंकि व्हेन वी गेट द फर्स्ट वॉलंटियर इन आवर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इट इज इजी बिकॉज वी नो द पर्सन in and out. We know what motivates them. We know how to work around with them. We know what is something they need from us. Getting the second volunteer is easier because we have already done the first process with the first volunteer. But when we have the third volunteer, things start getting a little difficult, because keeping all this information in your head or sharing this information with your teammates becomes challenging. And this is where we want to ensure that we have a system in place that does all of this for us, and our mind space is free. So this is again coming from the UDARTA research that organizations with a well-drafted volunteer program policy engage 2.4 times more volunteers. Just want your inputs on it. Do you agree with it? क्या आपको लगता है कि ये सही है? क्या और क्यों सही है? क्या एक वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम होने से, एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम होने से, क्या आप ज्यादा वॉलंटियर्स को एंगेज कर सकते हैं? Please feel free to unmute yourself and share your thoughts also. Okay, the room is a little silent here. I will pass this time, but if you tell me, give me feedback on how things are progressing, I think it'll be much more fun doing it. So let's see that how can a volunteer program can actually help you get more volunteers and engage more volunteers. So yes, we have two people who agree to it. Thank you. I also agree to it. I manage the Atma volunteering program. So basically, when we have clarity on why we want volunteers and what is something that is we are going to achieve through the volunteer program, everything else starts getting into place. We start building systems around it. And that clarity is not only beneficial for us as an internal team, it is also equally beneficial for the volunteers because they are also clear on what is expected of them. And hence, this becomes our very, very first step and very critical step. So, if I, as an organization or your organization, has to begin to set up a volunteering program, what will be the first step? अगर आप अपना वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम बनाना चाहते हैं तो आपका नंबर 1 स्टेप क्या होगा? सबसे पहले आप किस चीज के बारे में सोचेंगे, किसे डिफाइन करेंगे? परफेक्ट. सो रिक्वायरमेंट्स एक आइडिया है. थैंक्स रेजा. आप इसको ऐसे सोच सकते हैं कि आप कोई भी प्रोग्राम जब डिजाइन करते हैं तो सबसे पहले आप क्या करते हैं? सबसे पहले आप क्या सोचते हैं? Perfect. Ananya, you're absolutely right. The first step is defining the purpose and objectives of our program, right? So we begin with defining the purpose, which is, what is the purpose? The purpose simply says, why do we need it? Why does our organization want to engage volunteers? And this is important because this now gives clarity to the entire team. So the entire team is aligned on it. This is our North Star to take any decisions based on volunteering because we know why do we want a volunteering program in the first place. So some of the questions that you may ask yourself is, what specific needs they are meant to support, what values and beliefs is going to guide our future decisions, right? And why do we basically engage volunteers? So step one definitely becomes, defining the purpose of the program. And after that, the second thing becomes defining the objectives of it, which is essentially what we want our volunteering program to achieve. So this is important because this helps us prioritize what areas we want to take up, where do we want to engage volunteers, and in what capacity. So this is the core idea, that first begin with defining the purpose and the objective so that we are very clear, our decision-making framework is clear. And then once having done this, we then move on to the defining the details of our volunteering program. So this then becomes the 9 building blocks of our volunteering program. And like some of you have mentioned that, what volunteer is needed, what is the persona of that volunteer, all of these things will come here. So now in this session, what we will do is we are going to discuss in detail for the first 2 building blocks. And then I will give you some time to go through all of this and see for yourself where your organization is standing currently, right? I will also pause for 30 seconds for you to quickly go through the 9 building blocks. So we begin with needs assessment and planning, defining volunteer roles and categories, then thinking that how are we going to source our volunteers, and so on. So don't overwhelm yourself with all of these things together. Let's go at it one by one. Let's begin with the first step on needs assessment and planning. I'll just quickly repeat this in Hindi. हमने हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में वॉलंटियर्स क्यों चाहिए, इसका उद्देश्य अपने लिए क्लियर कर लिया है, और उसके बाद हम हमारे प्रोग्राम में डिटेल्स ऐड करना चालू करेंगे. तो ये जो स्क्रीन पे भी आपको दिख रहे हैं, ये हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के 9 हमारे वॉलंटियर प्रोग्राम के 9 बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स हैं. हमें इन सबको डिटेल आउट करना पड़ेगा, और ये देखने के लिए कि अभी हम कैसे कहाँ स्टैंड करते हैं, हमने आपके लिए एक चेकलिस्ट बनाया है जो अभी हम अगले स्लाइड में देखेंगे. तो हम चालू करते हैं नीड असेसमेंट एंड प्लानिंग से, जो इसेंशियली ये बताता है कि कहाँ पे वॉलंटियर सपोर्ट चाहिए, कब चाहिए और क्यों चाहिए, है ना. तो अगर आप मेरे साथ ये चेकलिस्ट पे देखें, क्या हमें पता है, मतलब डू वी हैव अ प्रोसेस फॉर आइडेंटिफाइंग वेयर वॉलंटियर सपोर्ट इज नीडेड. सो वी कैन चेक मार्क इफ वी हैव अ प्रोसेस कि हमें कहाँ पे वॉलंटियर्स चाहिए, क्या क्या उनके कौन से प्रोग्राम के अंदर, कौन से रोल के अंदर, क्या हमारे पास एक फॉर्मल प्रोसेस है जिससे हमारी इंटरनल टीम्स हमें फीडबैक दे सकते हैं कि उनको कौन से वॉलंटियर रिक्वायरमेंट की जरूरत है. क्या हमने असेस किया है कि हमारे स्टाफ मेंबर्स की इनफ कैपेसिटी है कि वो वॉलंटियर्स के साथ को सुपरवाइज कर सकते हैं और उनके साथ काम कर सकते हैं. क्या हमने ये डिफाइन किया है कि ये स्पेसिफिक रोल के लिए क्या वॉलंटियर ज्यादा सूटेड है कि वी नीड टू हायर समबडी. क्या एंड दिस द नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज नाउ गोइंग बैक अगेन टू द विजन कि हमने जो वॉलंटियर रोल्स बताए हैं, क्या वो हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ अलाइन करते हैं, उन प्रायोरिटीज के साथ अलाइन करते हैं. क्या हम हमारे वॉलंटियर रिक्वायरमेंट में भी प्रायोरिटाइज कर पा रहे हैं कि हमारे सबसे अर्जेंट वॉलंटियरिंग रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. क्या हमारे कोई टीम मेंबर रिस्पॉन्सिबल है जो इसको कोऑर्डिनेट करेगा और हमारी वॉलंटियर सोर्सिंग का ध्यान रखेगा. तो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि ये सारे चेकलिस्ट आपके 100% पूरे हैं, लेकिन आइडिया ये है कि आप जहां पे भी हैं, हम अपने आप को सेल्फ असेस कर पाए और देख पाए कि कहाँ पे हमारे पास ये चीजें चेक मार्क है, कहाँ पे हमारे पास ये चीजें हमने बनाना, इस पे सोचना चालू कर दिया है, लेकिन हमें कुछ और काम करने की जरूरत है, और कहाँ पे ये एब्सेंट है या हमारे लिए अभी के लिए रेलेवेंट नहीं है. तो इससे हमें आइडिया आएगा कि हमें किस लेवल की डिटेलिंग पे हम हैं और क्या स्कोप है हमारे लिए इसमें आगे जाने का. तो सिमिलरली हम एक सेकंड बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक पे जाते हैं, जहां पे जैसे कि सब मेंशन किया गया था, वनीता जी ने बताया कि क्लैरिटी ऑन देयर रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई दिस इन अंडर वॉलंटियर रोल कैटेगरीज इज, क्या हमारी वॉलंटियर रोल कैटेगरीज डिफाइंड है? क्या हमने ये डिफाइन किया है कि उनके स्किल्स क्या होने चाहिए? क्या जो रोल्स हैं उसके साइड में हमने ये डिफाइन किया है कि इनको बेटर सुपरवाइज कौन कर सकता है? क्या एक्सपेक्टेड टाइम कमिटमेंट है फॉर ये सारे रोल्स का? और इनके रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज और एक्सपेक्टेड आउटपुट्स क्या डिफाइंड है कि नहीं? तो दिस बिकम्स योर सेकेंड पॉइंट. Now I'm going to pause here for questions or any thoughts so far. सिमिलरली अब मैं आपको अगले 2 मिनट देना चाहती हूँ, जहां पे ये जो टेम्पलेट है जो आपके साथ अभी शेयर किया जाएगा चैट पे, और मैं आपको इसका एक डेमो दे सकती हूँ कि हमने आपके लिए टेम्पलेट कैसे बनाया है. तो अक्रॉस द 9 कैटेगरीज बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स, उसका डेफिनेशन की वो क्या है, why does it matter? So for example, in advertising and sourcing, which is our third building block, this helps us, what it is, this helps us define how to reach potential volunteers. Why this is required? Because we need, this is becomes the essential step in recruiting volunteers. There is a detailed checklist of what all things need to be in place when we are detailing out this building block. And then we have given you few examples to get started with. After that, you can use this space to write your thoughts and what are the things that you may want to cover. And then you can assess yourself whether or not you have the required detailing in this building block. By it, you could have it entirely, or you are started. There are some parts of it, and there are other things that you can work on, and this is absolutely new for you, and you can start working on it. So I'm just waiting till 3:42 for you to uh, also work on these things and take time to just browse through the template and ask me any questions if you have.
Kanika, hi, Pooja this side. I'm facing some technical issue. I'm not able to access the chat. So how should I get access of this file?
Are you able to open the file?
No, I'm not able to open the chat box. It just keep on
Oh.
saying loading, loading. Hence, I'm not able to comment on the questions that are being asked actually.
Oh, okay. I think for the time being, please feel free to unmute yourself. And I'm going to, while I may not be able to share this template with
Yeah,
you as of now, but after the session, we'll definitely share.
sure. Noted. Thank you.
You
Thank you.
can look at my screen meanwhile.
Yes, yes.
All right, we are at 3:42. So these are the other building blocks, and I hope you have gotten some time to go through it. But don't worry, consider this as your homework one for today. When you go back and, assess yourself whether other portions are in place for you. Right. If you are with me, please give me a thumbs up so that we can proceed further. I have not heard a lot on the chat box, so I'm not sure ki what I'm saying is very, very clear. So please give me that affirmation so that we can move ahead. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Thank you. I have got 3 thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. So now comes the bonus part, right? The thing is that when we were discussing about the major challenges, one major thing that came up was how to keep volunteers motivated, right? And to keep volunteers motivated, the first step is you understand what kind of contributions they are making, what is the level of engagement they are having, and how are we keeping in touch with them on a weekly basis, daily basis, or however it works for you. So we really need to have a system wherein we can have all of the work that volunteers are doing with us in one place, so that we can keep a track on the kind of engagements they are doing, if they are getting stuck somewhere, if they need some support, how we are responding to it. And there are so many team members who are working with these volunteers, so having a sheet where all of these things are together are very important. So what I'm going to share with you is a template that you can use to track all of your volunteer contributions. So one quick thing, when we have to track volunteer contributions, what is it that we are trying to track? The question is for you. तो जब हम हमारे वॉलंटियर्स क्या काम कर रहे हैं उन्हें ट्रैक करना है, तो हम क्या इंफॉर्मेशन उनके बारे में रखना चाहेंगे? एग्जैक्टली देयर वर्क, देयर टाइमिंग, एंड ऑफ कोर्स देयर कॉन्टैक्ट इन्फो. तो अब हमें 2 चीजें करनी है. सबसे पहली चीज कि हमें हमारे वॉलंटियर्स कि कौन हमारे वॉलंटियर्स हैं, इसकी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए. So we want the information of all our volunteers in one place. The second information that we need is what work they are doing, the kind of projects that they are working on, or the task that they are working on. That is what we want to know. And very importantly, we want that both of these information are talking to each other, right? So hence, what we have done is we have created this Google Sheet based template, which is easy for you to use, wherein the first sheet is a volunteer master list, which brings together all the information that you have of your volunteer in one place. The second sheet is the task tracker, which means both of the things that whatever work they are doing, we are able to keep a track of it. And the third sheet, because these 2 sheets are talking to each other, we are also able to derive insights using this auto-generated dashboard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick demo on how this template works. And please feel free to keep your questions coming on the chat box with respect to any of it that we have covered so far. So I hope you're able to see my template now. Great. Thank you, Reza. So across the field guide, and I'm going to show you where the field guides are later, every template begins with an instruction sheet so that you can also independently go through it and see how to use this specific template. Then here, the first thing is, how do you create a volunteer master list? Okay, so this just includes the basic information that you otherwise keep. But the only thing is you may be keeping this information in your notebook or in an Excel, or different people are using different Excels to do it. But we just want to ensure that all of it comes together. So for example, let's say we have a volunteer called Yash Javeri. We have given them a volunteer ID. We have put in their contact details and basic information. We have ensured what their current occupation is, because that helps us define what kind of a role they might take up better. We want to keep track of their professional experience. Then we want to see for our organization what kind of task then that they can take up. It is great if we are also able to capture where did we source this volunteer, because this is how we are going to get insights on the best volunteer sourcing channel for us, right? Their date of joining, they are joining in what capacity, and what is the current volunteering status, whether they're active or they are benched, we have to give them a project, or they do not continue to work with us anymore, so they are an alumni, or they are inactive for a certain duration, or they have dropped off. This is completely up to you. So I'll just highlight that wherever you are seeing these drop down cells, now this may differ for your organization. You may want to have a different way of saying that the current occupation, this does not justify your cause. So all you have to do is to change these categories. For example, let's just take the example of source of recruitment. You may have different sources of recruitment. So what you can do is go to the key sheet. All the drop downs that you see on that sheet are generated from here. So you just have to change it here and it will get auto reflected. For example, I may want to add word of mouth in my volunteer uh, source of recruitment. So I just have to put it in here or remove something here, because let's say university is not relevant for me. So that is all I want to do. And in my volunteer master list, automatically this will start getting reflected, right? So this is true for every place wherein you have these drop downs. So you go to the key, you define what it is for you, for your organization, and there are going to be certain places where it is important to define. So for example, a volunteer category could be they are a volunteer expert, but my definition of what an expert is versus somebody else from my team will be very different. So hence it's a good idea that we also give the definition of what a volunteer expert is, and we can use this space to define it. And then similarly, you can change the categories and other things. So once we have the volunteer master list in place, the next step is uh, trying to establish what kind of work they are doing. So for example, there is a new project coming up, which is about, creating the annual report. So I can just put down the name here. I can mention which category does it fall into for me. Uh, it is research and documentation. Sorry, let me just do it here as a separate thing. And then from here, I can pick which volunteer I have mapped. So for example, I am saying Manav Naidu has agreed for this. So their volunteer ID comes here automatically. I just have to double tap here to pick the date of starting the project. And when did this, so the project is beginning today, so I can just say today. And whenever it ends, I can keep a track of it. I can keep a track of whether this project is yet to begin or it has already started. Then I can also keep a tab on how many volunteering hours they have contributed. Now, there are two ways of doing it. Either I can just say that they have worked 20 hours on this project, or if I just click on this plus sign here, I have the opportunity to track their volunteering hours week by week. So for example, in the first week, they have given 3 hours, in the next week, 5. So this will get automatically calculated here. And if you are not keeping a tab weekly and you just want to say they have worked 20 hours through the project, that is also an option. You can simply just write in here. Then we can also capture who is the supervising team member from our team side. And again, in the key sheet, all you have to do is write the name of the team member. That's it. So for example, you want to say we don't have a KPR, so maybe a KPR. So here you just go and select the person. And this is an optional thing where you can also mention how much of their time got invested in it, so that just to check what system can we use. The remarks section, please use this to write any remarks on the project status, anything else. And then we have a column of date last updated, where just to keep a record of when was the specific entry last updated, right? When we fill all of this together, our dashboard gets generated. And here you can see that how many total number of volunteers are with us, the number of hours they have contributed, and also see other interesting things, that across which category the most volunteers are engaged. What is the source that was working for us? So for example, in this case, it felt like LinkedIn was the one where we were getting more volunteers from. So all these then help you in deciding how to changing or making decisions for your volunteering program next. And this also has the feature of refining it by date. So you may want to just see what happened in this quarter, or for the entire year, that it allows you to do that. Now, I am going to share the link of this template with you, and I want you to explore this template. And if you have any questions also, please feel free to ask me. The only thing is, when you get the template, which is on the chat box Antra has just shared, the first step is, please open the file and go to make a copy, right? And when you make a copy, please ensure that you are saving it in your drive, okay? And then just make a copy. So the thing is, if you're going to download it, some of the features will not work. So it is best that you use Google Sheets for doing this. And when you save it on your drive, all of the data that you enter here is on your drive and nobody else can see it, right? So that's it. And I am going to pause for the next 5 minutes, take questions, answer queries. And I'll request you to please browse through this template and see if it might be of any use to you. Also, one quick thing, Pooja, since you were facing technical challenges, you may have
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks for pointing it out. If anyone else also is not able to access chat and need the link on their mail, please do let us know, and we will do that. Ananya, to respond to your question, when we have the task list and the volunteer list ready, the dashboard gets updated automatically. So you don't have to make any changes there. Abhishek, you will definitely receive all the links via mail after the session. Don't worry about that. Reza, you will definitely get information of all the blocks. And towards the last leg of the session, I'll also show you where you can access all of it on your own. And this is not only for the programs, but for the entire volunteer journey. Thanks for the question, Reza. All right, last 1 minute before we move to the next section. So I'll just also quickly reiterate what we covered, and please give me a thumbs up if if this all of it made sense to you. So we covered about how do we build a volunteering program, which is defining the purpose and what is the next step after purpose in defining a volunteering program. The chat function is yours to respond to. So to begin, perfect. Thank you, Sonali. So purpose and objectives. Then we saw the 9 building blocks, and the homework that you have for today is go through and assess yourself. Where do you stand currently? And then we saw a template that can help you keep track of all your volunteers and all the tasks that they are doing in one place, so that the information is easily accessible to everybody across the team, and you can take better decisions on revising your volunteering program based on this data. So I hope this was useful. Now we are going to move to the second thing. The second thing is about you have your volunteers, and because many of you are interested in how do you ensure that your volunteers become the ambassadors for your organization. So I'm going to ask Ritu to please come over with this section. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Kanika. So now we come to this most exciting part, that is turning volunteers into long-term ambassadors. So how do volunteers become champions of a mission? So how can we make sure that they bring in more people into the organization? So we would love to hear from you. Like, where do your best volunteers come from? You can share in chat with us. Like from the experience of your organization, like where do your best volunteers come from? Basically the source, the channels, connector, corporates, colleges. Okay, right. Any past interns, yeah, community, great. Local LinkedIn, yeah, local communities, absolutely.
Community colleges also.
Colleges, yes. Then the stakeholders, okay, the villages, the communities, absolutely. Okay, so let's see, what the data says. So this is the data from the UDARTA report. So referrals, what it states is that referrals by existing volunteers was rated as the most effective sourcing channel by NPOs as per the survey. So, and the organizations using this channel tend to have 3.7 times more volunteers. So this is a data from the UDARTA study which was conducted, and it aligns with what you people are saying. Now, most of the time you have seen that the referrals happen by accident. Okay, like we share with our friends, some of them sign up, but this is more of an accident, it's by chance. So those referrals which normally happen by accidents are, very unpredictable, inconsistent, and untracked. But what if the referrals happen by design? Okay, so by design, what we mean is that volunteers, they go ahead and they share their journey, their impact stories in the network. And some of the friends in the network, they like the impact stories, the work after hearing from the volunteer, and they show interest. And the volunteer, then after checking, the suitability, whether that person will be aligned with the cause, refers them. So those volunteers who are onboarded or who arrive are already motivated and they're prepared about the constraints. So what we see, gradually volunteers become ambassadors in the process. So referrals happening by design, these are more structured, and it's a scalable and it can be tracked. Any thoughts, anything any of you want to add to it? Or if you have done similar activity in your organization, you can let us know. You can drop a word in chat. Okay, nice. Okay, now, how do we make it easy for the volunteers to share their experience? Because we want them to go ahead and share their experience, but we need to make their task easy. हमें उनका their work, we need to make it आसान, हमें आसान बनाना होगा. So what we did is, we'll share with you two templates. One is the volunteer storytelling bank and other is the DIY referral toolkit. So what is a volunteer storytelling bank? So volunteer storytelling bank is, as you can understand from the word itself, is a shared repository, a spreadsheet or a folder where the entire team, can collect the stories, record the impact stories there, like they can upload. So what we need to do at our level in our organization is, we need to encourage our team members, be it the program people, the program team members, or the field staff, or the volunteers, okay, to add impact stories in that storytelling bank. Okay, then why do you think we need it? Why is the question? So see, when this impact stories, they are unpredictable. So when a volunteer needs some impact stories to share in the network, it should be readily available somewhere. So this is where the storytelling bank is useful for the volunteers to share those stories apart from their own experiences. They are sharing more, a collection of some more impact stories. So this is what I'll just show you how we have created the storytelling bank. And when we give you a demo of the website where we have uploaded all this, you will be able to see. So basically, like Kanika said, in all the templates, we have a instruction sheet. So the steps how to use the storytelling bank. The first step is you should assign an owner. Somebody should be designated, someone in your organization should take the ownership of, maintaining this storytelling bank. Otherwise, it will never be maintained. Like if you just leave it open, no one will, you will find at the end when the story is required, when the volunteer, any one of you needs a story, you will not be able to find it in the right place. So somebody you need to assign, the first step. Second is capture after every touch point. Like if there is a field visit or any event or any campaign, add the story, add the impact story, upload it in the storytelling bank. So, and we'll show you the format which we have developed. Fill as many columns as possible. That, like, complete it. Then the most important part is, always record whether you have consent. Like before you use the photographs, the videos, or quotes or names, take the consent before you share it in any medium. Then use your DIY referral kit. That will show you what it is. And lastly, what we would suggest is the old stories, which are more than a year old, you can move them to the archive and just keep the recent ones, the current year ones in your storytelling bank. So this is this is how we have created a storytelling bank. You mention the date. You create a short, punchy headline for the story. We have just given an example here from student to mentor, Ravi's journey. Then the story category. So you can have a drop down here, whether it is a volunteer impact story, beneficiary outcome, community moment, anything, mission milestone. So see, what we have done is we have created a key. Okay, so here we have created all this, and you can add more category as per your organization's requirements. Then the type of given. So giving can be in many types, like it can be time, money, skills, voice, connections, goods. So you can choose whichever it is. Then which program or campaign does it relate to? Whatever is the name of the campaign. How can this story be used? So this is very useful, so for the volunteers like to choose. So you can have a drop down where how can this be used in newsletters or in social media or in donor reports or in annual reports. So again, this key is here. So you can add more here as per your requirement. It is there. Then you select the giving moment tag, like for which occasion. Is it for Diwali? Is it for Giving Tuesday? The festivals, the seasonal ones. So these are the story details. Then we come to the quotes. So this is the volunteer name you fill in, the volunteer quote, as well as from the participant quote. Then the next part is the impact. A short, very short and brief, a impact story, a 2-3 liner impact narrative. Then it is very nice if you can capture the numbers, quantify, measurable impact. Like here, 4 new volunteers recruited via referral, 12 students supported. So this is a number, a quantification, which will help you show the impact. Then the link where you have kept the file, the whatever the story or the narrative or whatever. Then the consent, which I shared at the before. This is the most important thing. You should specifically highlight whether the consent is there or not, so that accordingly the volunteer can share it ahead. And any additional notes if you want to keep. And then you can have the archive section where you can move the older stories in the archive section. So this is a very simple, template which you can use, which most of us are aware, but we do not maintain it, but it is very helpful. Okay. Any thoughts, anything coming to your mind which you want to share or add, please feel free to add in chat. Or if you're using any such tool in your organization, we would love to hear. Okay. So some of the good practices, when you create the storytelling bank, what you should aim for is as much stories as you can upload in the storytelling bank. Aim for at least 2-3 stories per month. And as we all are aware, that WhatsApp is the most preferred channel for Indian NPOs. So try to keep the stories very brief so that you can share over WhatsApp or with a voice note. And if you can share, if you can capture a photograph, an image, or a beneficiary code, that would be better because it carries more value. It is more effective than a narrative. And then stories tied to festivals or giving moments, as I showed you in the storytelling bank template, Diwali, giving moment, Dan Utsav. So this converts better. So tag them accordingly. So this is some of the good practices which you can follow while creating and maintaining the storytelling bank. Now the next toolkit, that is the DIY referral toolkit. So what is it? This is also a ready to use. This is a media template, which the volunteers can use to showcase their impact in their network. And they can, use it via WhatsApp messages or social media posts, or they can share over mailers. So how to use this? This is a very simple way. Volunteers can choose a ready-made story from the storytelling bank and drop that and those details into a corresponding DIY template. I'll show you one. It will be easy for you to understand, and then can share it, in their network. So why to use it? So when volunteers, they share these professionally curated stories in their network with their friends, their friends will find it more likely to find the stories compelling, and hence more likely to show interest in volunteering for that particular organization. I'll just show you the DIY template. So we have created for LinkedIn. This is a very simple one if you see. So here the logo of we have created in such a way it can be customized as per your need. So the logo of the NGO can be inserted here. And then this is why I volunteer with the name of the particular NGO can be mentioned. This is what the volunteer needs to fill in. I was helping at the type of workshop or mentoring session the person can mention here. When someone told me, they can insert the moment or the quote. In that moment, I realized that sometimes impact is not about doing something big. It is about, they can write what mattered to them here. And it's a good practice to share some numbers, outcome numbers here. And what they can do, they can share it over WhatsApp. And if you have a QR code here and you link that QR code to your volunteer application form, so a person who wants to be associated will be directly, land in that application form, the volunteer application form, and can volunteer for your cause. So these are some of the DIY referral toolkits which you can, use. These are very ready to use and very useful ones. Any thoughts anyone wants to share? I'll give a pause. Okay, somebody shared earlier, I use Notion for maintaining calendar for such stories and posting. Okay, great. Okay. Now, how do we capture volunteer referrals? In spite of, maintaining good storytelling banks, sometimes, most of the times you are not able to capture volunteer referrals. So what is the way out? What is the solution? So what we can do is we can create a volunteer referral form, which will help us to capture the details. So this is a very simple form, which most of you must be using, where you can, have a section on the referrer's basic information, then the candidate's basic information, about the candidate, you can have a section, and the next steps. How should we make the first contact and all those things? You can customize it as per your needs. So this is about this section, and we'll just give you a holistic view of the volunteer engagement framework, and we'll also give you a demo of the website where the toolkits are there. So over to you, Kanika. You can take it ahead from here.
Thanks, Ritu. So basically, till now, we have seen these templates, right? Today, we were able to see how do you set up your volunteering program. We also saw the tracker. And lastly, we saw volunteer referrals. And now we have spoken about so many templates and so many toolkits, but where do you find them? Let's answer that question for you. But before that, get ready for a fastest finger first. So please do tell me which of these templates would you like to see. The first person who responds, I'm going to demo that thing on the website. Okay, 4 is, okay, Ananya, would you like to see the feedback? Okay, let me just walk you through the entire thing in that case. Thanks, Ananya. So, okay, now you can access all the field guides using this website. I am going to take you to the website. Here is the link to the website for you to also access alongside. Now, here you will see that this is basically the UDARTA Everyday Giving Field Guides, and there is one on fundraising and the other one on volunteer engagement. In the next session, we are going to talk about fundraising. For now, let's focus here on volunteer engagement. If you go here, the web page basically first guides you, help you begin your journey in volunteering, setting up a volunteering program, covering holistically all of it. So when you begin your journey, using the example of a volunteer called Samir, it takes you step by step. So I am, because there was a demand for the fourth one, which falls under the second stage, I'm going to enter the second stage. When I do, it tells me about that what is this stage. So the cultivating belonging stage is where the volunteers are actively contributing their time, and our goal is to keep them motivated, right? So then it gives you a scenario. So basically, this is very interactive for anybody to get started with understanding how a journey works and how to create an experience for your own volunteers. So now in this scenario, Samir has been showing up regularly and contributing their time. How do you continue engaging them? The first option is we assume that they will stay engaged and reach out only when help is needed. The second option is we create a regular touch point through communication, feedback, and shared experiences. What do you vote for? Option A or option B? What should we do with Samir? Okay, great. So we go to the option B. When we go here, it also helps us see that what you are saying is not only correct, it also gives you some real life examples that you can explore. How different NGOs are using recognition to keep their volunteers motivated. So for example, if I just click here, it tells me about an education-based NPO headquartered in Maharashtra that is using feedback and how they are using it, right? When I go further, it takes me to the toolkits, right? So when since we wanted to go to the toolkit 4, which is on volunteer management and tracking, I go to the toolkit. It tells me what the toolkit is about. So volunteer management and tracking toolkit is a collection of simple spreadsheet-based systems and communication frameworks that helps you manage tasks to long-term nurturing champions, right? Why should you use it? To retain institutional memory, to move beyond simple task assignment, and establish a framework. Who should use it? Any NGO that is experiencing significant growth. After that, it's going to link me to the explainer of that specific toolkit and the templates that go along with it, right? So let's go to the explainer first. When you open the explainer, so here, because this is created keeping in mind for anybody to get started with. So it gives you a full context of why this specific step is important. So it helps you, what are the processes it will help you improve, and what does this toolkit comprise of? So this specific toolkit has a volunteer tracker. It details out what it is, how to use it, and why to use it. And you can also access the tracker from here itself. The second component of this specific toolkit is the feedback and learning framework, again following the same thing. So then you can also access it from here, right? And the last thing is a volunteer access feedback form. And let's access and see what the template contains, right? So for example, when you are wanting to take feedback from your volunteers, sometimes it gets difficult getting one-on-one. So you may use a volunteer feedback form, maybe on Google Forms. And this first sheet gives you all the instruction on how to use it. Oops, I think I opened the wrong thing. Oh, there is some error. Anyway, so this is one way of accessing the toolkits. There is another way of doing it. Now, what you can do is, now since you know all the stages, you can also directly go here to the volunteering field guide. So when you go to volunteer engagement, you can access all the volunteer engagement toolkits from here, and it will take you to a Google Drive where all the toolkits are present. So you can click on your specific toolkit, go to because we were wanting to refer to the volunteer exit feedback form here. It takes you to the template. The first step towards using any template is when you will access, it'll only be a view only thing for you. So you create a copy of it. So you simply make a copy like I showed earlier and save it in your drive. And that is where you can start accessing the template for you, right? And now on this copy, you can customize it and see it. So what we have done for this volunteer exit feedback form, we have divided the required questions into, oh, I just realized I was sharing my entire screen. So are you also seeing a lot of disturbances on the screen, or it is just full one Excel template?
Kanika, perhaps we can wrap up and take in some questions if anybody has.
Wrapping it up in a minute. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
So here what you're going to do is that there is a section. We have put down the questions that need to be asked to take feedback. So, rate us on the scale of 1 to 5 on the clarity of your role and expectations or the communications and such. So we have divided into sections for you to see which ones you want. For you to easily take it to Google Form, we have also put in what is the question type so that you can use it there. And we have also put in options. The E column is important because it also helps to understand that why this particular question is needed, right? And we have also mentioned that whether this question is essential or we have recommended it. So then it's up to you to keep what you want, but you can use this template as it is and move it to a Google form to start taking feedback from your volunteers. So this was just one of the examples that I wanted to show. I am hoping that you can now access it, and I'll just now pause for all questions, or if you want me to do something, show something again, ready, happy to do that also.
Thank you so much, Kanika and Ritu. I think we've seen a lot of very useful templates, very useful toolkits today. Do take a moment to explore them, check them out. If you have any questions that have gone unanswered, now is the time we can discuss. We can look on all those questions or queries that you may have. And if not, you can also let us know via email. You can reach out to me or you can reach out to Kanika or Rituparna. and we'll be happy to support you in any way. Before you drop off, please leave us a feedback on the webinar, how your experience was today. And also the next webinar that's coming up, we'd like to just share with you. And I'm going to share the registration link also on the chat. The next, while we wait for the link to come on the chat, please feel free to ask your questions. The speakers are here. We'd be glad to support you. While we wait for any questions from the participants today, we can take on some questions that came in, just 1-2 questions that came in during registration, perhaps. So there's a question around what kind of organizations, or are there any organizations who are providing volunteer support to grassroots organizations?
Thank-
Ritu, would you like to take that up?
Yeah, thanks, Veda, for the question. So yes, definitely there are several platforms that you may use to get volunteers for your organization, which include Connect for I Volunteer, etc. Also, one good thing is also you can start posting it on your LinkedIn pages or through your channels to get volunteers in your geographical context. Plus, skill-based volunteering is something people are looking at. So you may also start opening up options for virtual volunteering.
Super. Thank you, Kanika. Thank you for that add-on. We have another interesting question about the core expectation from corporates when it comes to volunteer engagement or volunteering.
You want to take up, Kanika?
Veda, I missed you in between. Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. I'll repeat the question. So the question is on the core expectation from corporates when it comes to volunteering or engaging volunteers.
So working together with corporate volunteers, I think when you have clarity on what you need volunteers for is what you begin with. So corporate volunteers are a great resource for your organization. You need to give them the clarity of the kind of support is required, and matching their skill set with your requirements becomes the key. So the main thing comes that how do you communicate this alignment, right? So there may be a corporate who comes with a lot of good technical expertise. Now, how are you channelizing their skill set, and how do you find the communion here is what you can go ahead with. So establishing this comes there. With corporates, the major thing is how are you able to best document your processes, plus also establish what is going to be the output and impact of the work they are doing. So that helps a long way in establishing the need and the impact of such an engagement.
Thank you, Kanika. That was very well put. I think we all do try to engage our corporate or CSR donors in volunteering initiatives. So that's a great insight to have. We will hang back for a couple more minutes in case anybody has any unanswered questions. But in the meantime, thank you so much. Thank you to Kanika and Ritu today for sharing your expertise, your experiences, showing us and taking us through all the beautiful templates and toolkits. And thank you everybody for taking time out on a Thursday afternoon to be with us today. Hope you had a good session, some good learning, some new things that you uncovered. And we're always here. If you want to reach out to us, you will be receiving the session recording along with all the templates, the resources that were shared during the session through an email post the session. So thank you once again. Have a great day ahead. great evening and great week ahead. We will hang back for 2-3 more minutes in case anybody has any questions or wants to discuss anything. Thank you. Thank you. If there are no more questions, we can end the call here.
Thanks, Veda.
Thank
Thank you.
you.